measuring the number of followers they have, how active they are on Twitter, and who their followers are, whether their people are retweeting what they're saying, what their messages are. But if you had a certain score above a certain level, you were invited to this thing. And if you were one of the top 10, you actually were invited to fly on that first flight from Toronto to San Francisco or Los Angeles. And Virgin America happens to offer Wi-Fi on board, so what are these people doing? They're tweeting while they're on board. I'm on the first Virgin America flight from Toronto. And again, because they're the most influential on Twitter, that message is going out to lots of people. Not to mention the fact that while they're meeting Richard Branson and taking a photo with them, that's going on into the whole Twitter sphere right away, immediately. It's about sharing right now. Another video for you guys.
We're heading to Lake Tahoe. We'll be last minute from the book, that hotel in free fall.
Reservation for Mr. J.T. Holmes, please.
Woo! Landing was a bit of a doozy.
Let me check our system. Get that reservation for Mr. Holmes.
You got it.
No way, we got it!
Oh,
Yeah!
Stop that.
Nailed it.
So remember what I said earlier about it's not just about being on social media, it's about tying it to a goal, tying it to a business goal, which in most cases is driving revenue. Well, the thing about this, I think the downside of it is that it was for Hotels.com, and I don't think they displayed that prominently enough, because when I first watched this, I didn't even know who it was for. But Hotels.com, their whole tagline, their whole marketing strategy is built around the fact saying they're the fastest booking engine for hotels. So this is a viral video that did in fact go viral, people circulated it, but what did it also do? It sends the message that, hey, Hotels.com books really fast, you can do it while you're skydiving. So this is about a great example of how you actually had, Hotels.com had a business goal that they wanted to communicate or wanted to achieve, and they chose the tool to fit that rather than just participating on these different channels just for the sake of participating. So again, to drive results, the second thing we want to do is go where the call hangs out. Lastly, we don't want to look like this guy. So, head stuck in the sand. And the fact is, these cult types of people that we want to have on our side, they change very quickly. They get bored easily, short attention span. They're probably on to the next thing while you're still discovering the thing of right now. And so we have to change with them. We have to really know where they're thinking and where they're going to keep them on our side. Has anybody, I'm sure everybody use these things every day, the crosswalks, zebra stripes, but how many of you actually, when you're going to cross the street, you're actually sitting here direct right angles, making sure you're not walking on the street? Of course not, you're walking here, you're walking at an angle. South Korea, this is what they've started to do. So the whole idea being that they're changing. They're seeing how people's behaviors are and they're changing with it. Of course it's not airline related, but I thought it was a very good, simple description. Airline related, were any familiar last year with this AA-24 flight? It was a potential terrorist situation. It was a flight between New York and San Francisco to New York, I think. And they actually had a bomb threat. Somebody had called in a bomb threat on board, and so they had a whole investigation while the passengers were still on the aircraft. It was before it took off, so it was just sitting on the tarmac, and they sent a bunch of investigators and all this onto the plane. Well, American was in a tough situation because while there's an official investigation going on, you can't start giving out facts that may or may not be true, so they couldn't really comment from a PR standpoint while this whole thing was going on. But do you think that CNN or CNBC or all that really wants to wait for the investigation to conclude so then American issues of official PR statement of what exactly happened? Of course not. They want to be the first to break the story. So who happened to be on this flight? These two people, one named Jay and one named Campbell, were tweeting. Every 3 or 4 minutes, they were tweeting about what's going on, because nobody knew at the time. You're sitting on the plane, you know you're not getting to New York, and you see people starting to come on board, you see some panic setting in, and you can actually see what they're saying. It's every 2 or 3 minutes. Black and white police car on right side of aircraft. Captain just asked us for patience. Captain says 6 law enforcement officials will board the plane, take us off 2 by 2. So the point being that this is actually news. In the absence of any more credible source, Twitter has become a news source. And so CNBC was actually, while this whole thing was going on, showing these tweets on their coverage. So what American did is they started actually engaging these people. Rather than just sitting by doing nothing, they started tweeting these people, giving them recognition, so you can see, speaking to them directly. This one down here says @CM McKellar, which is this Campbell woman. Hang in there, the authorities are taking care of things, correcting facts that were correct. It was never a hostage situation, it was a phoned-in security threat. So they were sharing what they could know, and they could say definitively while this was going on, and really engaging these people. And they ended up getting quite a bit of circulation throughout the Twitter world because of their activity with this. And so the idea is they didn't just wait until, okay, well, we've issued our PR statement, now that the investigation is concluded. They really saw the people that were starting to speak up about it, and they made sure that they got them on their side. Good one here.
All right, one more time. Name is Staff Sergeant Frederick Gilder, United States Army. It's June 7th, Tuesday, approximately 7:15 a.m. Flying from Baltimore, Maryland on Delta Airlines flight 1625.
Yes.
Yeah, 1625 from Baltimore to Atlanta, Georgia, on our way back to Fort Polk, Louisiana. Just returned from Afghanistan yesterday. We're on our way to Atlanta after an 18-hour layover. We had a little issue with the bags this morning, and I thought that I would let another soldier explain a little bit of what happened this morning. So, if you don't mind, here you go. All right, Sergeant, go ahead and explain what happened.
My name's Staff Sergeant Robert here, and United States Army. Got to the airport this morning to start boarding the plane, get everything going, and we showed up and found out that we had too many bags.
What do you mean? What do you mean too many bags?
Well, we had 4 bags. The Delta airline only allows 3 bags. Anything over 3 bags, you have to pay for it. Even though there's a contract between the United States government and Delta Airlines when returning from Afghanistan or on military orders, they're authorized up to 4 bags.
So you're saying that our military travel orders authorized us to carry 4 bags, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, so what happened to the soldiers that actually had 4 bags?
We had actually ended up paying out of pocket our own money to allow that 4th bag to be taken on the plane.
How much you paid?
$200.
All right,
per bag.
so
Per bag.
how much did our unit ended up paying out of pocket?
Over $2,800, and there's only 34 of the soldiers.
So our unit paid over $2,800 for a 4th bag that our travel orders actually authorized.
That's correct.
All right, what was that 4th bag for you?
For me, it was a weapons case holding my M4, 203 grenade launcher, and 9mm. The tools that I used to protect myself and Afghan citizens while I was deployed in the country.
So you're telling me that you paid over $200 for your 4th bag that was actually your weapons?
That is correct.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries.
Good business model, Delta. Thank you. We're actually happy to be back to America. God bless America. Not happy. Not happy at all. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you think people actually take that seriously? Yes, no, maybe. This thing had something, it was in the millions in terms of circulation immediately. Became a huge PR crisis for Delta Airlines. And Delta, to their credit, they actually responded as best they could. Obviously, you know, something like that, I'm sure you're aware, you can't always foresee what's going to happen in any situation. So you have a policy in place, you can't always have foresight of what could possibly go wrong. But Delta actually responded immediately through all of their social channels, This was an article about through their blog, which they also circulated through Twitter, through Facebook. They immediately changed their baggage policy and they made it clear, they publicized it. So they actually did a pretty good job with the whole crisis management thing. But that video alone, that video that looks like any of us just were sitting on the plane doing it, several million impressions on the US aviation market. An example of an airline that hasn't done such a good job is, this is kind of funny too, so maybe it can wake you guys up a little before lunch.
I flew United Airlines on my way to Nebraska. The plane departed Halifax, connecting in Chicago's O'Hare. While on the ground, a passenger said from the seat behind me, "My God, they're throwing guitars out there." The band and I exchanged a look, best described as terror, at the action on the tarmac, and knowing whose projectiles these would be. So before I left Chicago, I alerted 3 employees who showed complete indifference towards me. United, you broke my Taylor guitar. United, some big help you are. You broke it, you should fix it. You're liable to just admit it. I should have flown with someone else or gone by car. 'Cause United breaks guitar.
So that's like 5 minutes long, so I won't go all of it. But if you actually go and look at this right now on YouTube, just Google United Breaks Guitars YouTube, you'll see 10 million views for this video.
Steve, that's an individual. That's really
Yep.
one going through and
Yep.
they broke his guitar.
One guy, 10 million views from YouTube. So, it really becomes a matter of what's the cost of not being prepared for these types of things? What's the cost of not being involved in social media, or at least aware of what's going on with social media? Because if you were to ask a United marketing person a year ago that, oh, well, what are the odds that somebody's going to make a video of a silly country song and it's going to get 10 million views? Of course, they're going to laugh in your face. So it's really, this is the new reality we're in. One more video. This one's a little more funny. So I'm almost done with the videos, but this is just a good kind of summary of what I've been talking about as far as changing with the cult. And you may know this clip.
I'm sorry, we're only boarding rows 9 and above right now. You'll have to wait.
I'm in row 8.
Please step aside, sir.
Just one row. I just think it's okay.
We'll call your room momentarily. Step aside, sir. Thank you for waiting. We'd like to continue boarding the aircraft now. We're now boarding all rows, please. All remaining rows. Enjoy your flight.
Unfortunately, this is the reality of flying in this country anyway. But let's go back 5 years. If you're responsible for this employee, you're her manager. Let's see, you go through the checklist. Was she courteous with the customer? She was smiling the whole time. She was pleasant. Was she enforcing the rules? Was she making sure that nobody was getting around the rules even though they pressured her? I mean, check, 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 check. She's probably getting a promotion. Perfect employee. She's doing everything right, everything we ask her to do. But if you do this today, chances are the minute that guy gets on the plane, you're dead, because he's going to be tweeting this and publicizing it to the whole world. If you don't have Wi-Fi on board, maybe as soon as he lands, it's going out to the world. But the point is that you can actually, another good takeaway, on any, we've done some studies that show if any aircraft, maybe an Airbus 320 full with 150 passengers, you can estimate that at least 5 people are using Twitter as that thing. Not everyone's turning off their phone when they say to turn off the phone when you're taxiing. But the point is that there are people really broadcasting every single flight that goes up in the air live. And so when you have to really take that into account in terms of setting your policies and how you're going to react to things like this. So we got to change with the cult. I'm getting close to the end here. So we've seen the cult is in, we've seen how the traveler life cycle is evolving, and now we're coming back to these guys that I asked about earlier. This guy, Juan Manuel, is actually the mayor on Foursquare. Is anyone familiar with Foursquare? So for those of you who aren't, basically this it's a social network where it's location based. So right now I could check out my Foursquare app and it will find the Sonesta Bayfront Hotel and I can check in, which really is just to publicize to my friends maybe where I am. But you're really broadcasting your brand choice to the world. You're broadcasting your location, exactly what you're doing. And if you check in more times in any location than anywhere else, you become the mayor, which gives you a badge and all this sort of thing. It's, again, 5 years ago we would have thought this stuff was all silly, but people take this very seriously now. And so this guy, Juan Manuel, is the mayor of Ezeiza Airport. So that's why I was going to ask if any of the guys from there had ever seen him around, which means he's there a lot. You can actually learn, look at all this information. I've never met this guy, but look at what I can learn about him just by looking at this profile. I can see the kinds of things he's interested in through these badges. I can see that he likes to go to Bar de Picadas. I can see that he obviously is interested in Chicago. He has a badge for the Windy City in Windy City here. I can see all the places that he's the mayor of, which means I can see where this guy spends all his time. And so if this is somebody who, again, this would be better suited for somebody who's in charge of a loyalty, but if this is a guy that we really want to have on our side, and as a brand ambassador, it's very easy to figure out where he's spending his time. And so the other two, the Randy guy was the mayor of the Airbus Training Center in Miami. So I guess that's, with 55,000 employees, I wouldn't expect you guys to know everybody, but I found the mayor of the Airbus Training Center, and that was this guy with the guitar. And then the last guy, the Adiel guy, Adiel, probably say the name wrong, he was the mayor of the Guarulhos Airport, so I guess he checks in there quite a bit. And actually I lied, this guy's not the mayor of Ezeiza, he's the mayor of the Aerolíneas Argentinas Lounge, for premium lounge there, so I guess he is a premium customer. So the point being that these are examples of how we can get to know these people that are important to us without really any effort on our part. So, in sum, I've talked a lot about this cult, what I meant by this cult. And again, airlines right now are really good with the customers, the traditional customer relationship management side. If I ask any of your loyalty program managers to tell me who are my top 500 customers between Miami and Santiago or whatever it might be, he can probably give me that information in 10 seconds. Give me their email addresses, their phone numbers, tell me exactly who they are. But if I was to ask your e-commerce marketing manager, of your top 50,000 fans on Facebook or 20,000 fans on Facebook, how many of them have actually flown on your airline within the past 3 months, the past 6 months? Probably get a lot of blank stares. And so what we want to do is really try to overlap those two. Use a lot of these social networks to overlap the traditional customer and our loyal customers with this cult. So understanding who's the active ones, who become our voice outside of our own marketing department. So again, this is where we want to get to. It's no longer about connecting with our individual customers, it's about connecting with the cult. And then those people end up connecting with our customers for us. So this is one good example I want to show you just in conclusion is a small airline, which is also from the Southern Hemisphere, so there's some comparisons. Again, it's not Latin America, but could be some inspiration for some of you guys to take home with you. And it's just a good example of an airline that's really doing a great job with this. And I previewed them earlier with the Rico thing, but Air New Zealand has done quite a bit more, so just check this video
When
out.
you're a little airline from the bottom of the world, you have to throw out the marketing rulebook if you want to get noticed on the international stage. But when your new aircraft are turning heads around the world, and your customer service sets the standard for the industry, you can be sure people in New Zealand hear about their national airline through PR and local media. So how do we export the Air New Zealand brand overseas? In true Kiwi style, we think differently. Instead of relying on traditional media, like much of our industry, Air New Zealand has embraced the global reach of social media and delivered a series of king hits. Our online videos have racked up millions of views and got the world's media, aviation, and marketing industries talking. They grab attention give people a laugh, and play a huge role in supporting our primary brand messaging. Fit to Fly, an airline safety video starring workout legend Richard Simmons, has become a YouTube sensation, and with a smart